what we are going to, what the markets are doing, and of course, what we can expect for trading today. But of course, the other thing that's important is, of course, for us to review what has been happening in the markets over the past 1 week or two that I haven't been with you guys. Yeah, so we got the first Federal Reserve cut. That was um, that was of course last week, and of course this was the first cut that we got from the Fed after 4 years. So the last time the Federal Reserve cut interest rates, that was back in 2020, in March 2020. That was when we got the first cut from the Federal Reserve, and of course there are more cuts that are likely ahead, and could be also one of the reasons why we are seeing a relatively bullish gold so far for now. Now, we're just going to go through a few articles here from ING to see what are the main things that are driving higher gold. So first thing, of course, here we are seeing gold rally is just getting started. So I believe the most anticipated US rate cut in decades will bring fresh impetus to gold prices. We have revised our gold forecast higher, and we now expect prices to average 2,700 in 2025. Gold has been one of the best performers among major commodities this year. It has surged more than 20% year to date, supported by expectations of an interest rate cut from the Federal Reserve, strong central bank buying, and robust Asian purchases. I think we talked about the central bank purchases for gold, and also how the International Bank of Settlement had moved gold's tire for it to be a reserve asset for central banks. So right now, the Basel III indicates that gold can also be held along amongst other things like the US currency as a reserve asset. Now, the Fed pivot, which of course is the rate cut, is definitely going to boost gold prices. And of course, since we saw a 50 basis point cut from the Fed, which of course was a relatively big cut, it could be one of the reasons why we are seeing gold pushing higher. So at the moment, gold is currently trading around 2,650, and it still looks quite bullish and could possibly move even higher over the next trading sessions. Now, ETF flows turn positive for the years of outflows, so indicating that there's a lot of money also going into the gold-backed ETFs, of course, also affecting the retail price that we are seeing for gold, and of course, again, also affecting the price action. So this is currently what we are seeing. Comex futures also have turned net long, and they are rising further on anticipation of more aggressive rate cuts from the Fed, and we are seeing how that is playing out. Central bank gold demand also picked up in July. Of course, we are seeing how that is also one of the major catalysts for us seeing a strong move higher for gold. Yeah, so moving to another article here, it's talking about commodities. So generally, we have not only seen gold rising sharply higher, but also if you look at other things if you look at other things like silver, you'll notice how silver has also pushed higher on anticipation of more rate cuts from the Federal Reserve. And I'm thinking silver could, over the next few trading sessions, also push upwards to a price of about $40, $50 an ounce. And of course, it may not happen in one trading session, but if we're looking at it over a particular period of time, we could see prices moving higher. Now, recently, of course, we have also seen that the decades-long conflict that has been taking place in Middle East has also been one of the key catalysts for gold's price action, and we got renewed tensions this week when Hezbollah was bombing Israel's Iron Dome, and there have been some indications that there might also be many more, many more attacks from Hezbollah on Israel. So that could also be one of the drivers for gold in the meantime. Now, I'm not saying that we are going to see the gold price moving higher and higher and higher in a straight line. Ideally, we are going to be having pullbacks now and then, but the trend is going to be showing a relatively higher trend going into the rest of the year. Now, the other thing, of course, is that yesterday, People's Republic Bank of China cut their reserve requirement lower, indicating that they want to also increase stimulus in their own market. And that also has allowed gold prices to sharply rise. We are also seeing that gold imports have steadily fallen in China. However, prices are still moderately higher. And of course, some of the key catalysts like the geopolitical tensions and the Fed pivot are some of the things driving prices higher. So it's not only gold, but many other commodities. We saw sugar making a record high recently. We have also seen several other assets making record levels over the past trading session, all because of the rate cut. Now, looking at how markets are trading so far today, we have had the Dow Jones making making a record high where it was able to cross 42,000. Currently, Dow Jones is trading at 42,140. So you need to position yourself in such a way that you look for buys on this index because it's likely to push higher, especially since the rate cut is very fresh in the market. We could see record levels possibly before the US elections. Nasdaq is the only one that has had a struggle breaking above 20,000 and is still trading about 700 points below its record high, around 20,700. So it's likely we could have some good risk reward on a Nasdaq, uh, aiming for aiming for 20,600, possibly even 20,700 and higher. Now, going to the forex market, GBPUSD, we shall look at it on a chart. It's having a bit of a pullback as of London trading today. It's been on quite a tear. It's risen roughly almost 1.8% since the Fed cut rates last week, and now it seems to be on a bit of a pause to the upside, and looks like it might push a little lower. Before it resumes a further upside. Um, the JPY pairs are also pulling back a bit. The reason why we saw the JPY pairs buying aggressively was because the Bank of Japan indicated that they are not going to hike soon. But don't take that and think that the yen is not going to strengthen. The yen will definitely strengthen, and that's why we are seeing on pairs like GPP JPY, we're already seeing some of those pullbacks taking place. Crypto also is looking a bit red today. We are seeing Ethereum pulling back, Bitcoin pulling back. Most of them are in the red. Say has a bit to do with profit taking, and like I said, it's not going to be a one-way rally. The rally will have some dips, and some of the dips are starting to show up at the moment, where we are seeing some of a red day so far today. Stocks are looking quite bullish. Nvidia was able to cross above $120 for the first time in such a long time, I would say in a month or two. We also got some news that Nvidia's CEO has stopped his round of stock sales, which of course could limit downside pressure on the stock. So I believe one of the components that is going to allow Nasdaq to break 20K is going to be Nvidia. Soon as Nvidia as the Nvidia price moves higher, we could see Nasdaq managing to break at least 20,000. So looking at other things, gold is pulling back at the moment. We are seeing gold currently trading at 2655. It reached a high today of about 2,669. I would say trading gold if you are a seller is a bit tricky because it kept pumping and pumping every other hour yesterday. But of course, I think now it has formed a temporary resistance, and we should see gold decelerating between now and possibly later in the day, towards maybe yesterday's low around 2630, 2640 is very possible. But in case it doesn't, it might make one more attempt. So however, there's broad selling on the commodities. Looking at the commodities really from as of today, there seems to be a broad sell-off, which could intensify going into the US session, or could maybe reaccelerate back to buying. But just keep an eye there and see how things progress. So that's really how the markets are doing so far today. We can also maybe have a look at some things. We can have a look at the DXY. So the DXY again, we had almost like I would say an inverted M pattern here. of course, which again I drew yesterday, which of course got completed uh, when we saw, of course, the DXY breaking. So you can see the M is here. This is the M. Okay, so that is really how I'm expecting the M to complete. So we should see a move back down to those lows that we saw around 2023. That was about I think July 2023. So that's where I'm expecting. I'm expecting the DXY to decelerate to. There's a bit of profit taking on a number of risk on assets right now, which of course again is allowing the dollar to have a bit of a pause in that sell-off. The sell-off, the sell-off on the risk on could continue between now and possibly maybe later on Thursday. We might have a bit of broad selling on a risk on before we see the buyers coming in again. Okay, since of course it's been about 8 days of non-stop buying, aggressive buying, and the sellers haven't had their chance. So maybe that we could see that happening today. However, yes, we could be seeing some selling on things like GPP USD and a little bit of selling on gold and Euro USD, but that might not again indicate that we need now to buy the dollar, because regardless, the dollar is right now extremely vulnerable for further downside momentum, and the most it can do is really just range, but otherwise its fate is that it's coming back down here, and that is likely to evolve over the next few sessions. We are seeing GPP JPY also giving us a bit of a downside. I want to see how this plays out. Could be a good pullback if works out well. Looking at silver again, silver is also looking quite bullish. Silver yesterday broke out very nicely here, and we just have to wait and see how again some of those things move over the next few sessions. So let's cross over to back to the calendar for us to see what's on the calendar for today. I would say, looking broadly at the calendar, we don't really have that many events. Um, the most important event for trading today is going for trading in this week is going to be on Friday, where we have the core PCE. But of course, we also have building permits coming out today at 8 p.m. Again, we also have crude inventories that are coming out, new home sales. So most of this data again doesn't really have that much of an impact on the charts. So you really shouldn't give it that much importance. Just focus mostly on your technicals and see how those are affecting price action going into the day. Okay, so let's cross over to the MT5 and see how the technicals are looking like. If you have any questions, feel free to drop your questions, guys. No, it's been 2 weeks since we last met, so I'm sure a number of you must be having questions for me. So feel free to drop them, and I'll be happy to handle your questions, guys. So let me just show my trying to get my MT5 up. Just a moment, guys. Just need to get my MT5. MT5 seems to it's not showing. Yeah, so again, institutions I would say are mostly net. They are net long on the euro, and of course, most of the speculative net positions on the euro are net long at the moment. So that's why we are seeing a relatively strong euro. Take note, guys, that again, the Fed has just cut rates by 50 basis points, and they have signaled further aggressive rate cuts. So if you're looking at the policy approaches for the two, we seem to be having I would say a situation where the Federal Reserve has become very, very divergent in some way to the ECB and to the Bank of England. So that what that means is that it puts the euro and the pound in a very good position to rally over the short term to medium term. What I can say, yeah. So regardless of the data that we are seeing, uh, that might not really deter a further upside for the euro. Yeah, yeah, and maybe the other thing is that yeah, my MT5 has finally shown up. The other thing maybe that could be important is that we have general elections going into the US, and uh, uh, that's going into the months of October, November. And what that, of course, means is that that could affect the dollar in a way that we could see it weakening uh, over this period of time between now and possibly, possibly later this year. Yeah. So let's just go through a few things. I want to start with gold. Yeah. So this is what gold is looking like at the moment. I've added my Fib retracements on gold, indicating its most recent high, okay, which of course is 26, 20, which is about 20, which is about roughly 26.69 around there. And I'm expecting that we could see some potential pullbacks from that level back to these areas of demand. So of course, again, for gold, I would mark my areas of demand somewhere around those Fib levels there, where I would expect us to see potentially see some selling momentum too. At the moment, of course, the buying momentum on gold is quite aggressive, but that does not mean that we're not going to see a bit of a pullback. The pullback will happen, and ideally, how you can trade it today is that you could be looking for some sales, and of course, setting your stop loss slightly above this level here, towards that level of 26.70, so that in case the price reverses to move higher, you don't get your stop loss triggered. So again, gold is in a very nice strong uptrend. The last time we had crossover on gold was in July. So right after that July crossover, gold has entered into a very sharp uptrend, and that uptrend is looking extremely bullish at the moment. And we could at least see gold staying bullish for now, but there are going to be some pullback. So the the areas where I'm expecting us to possibly move to could be those areas of 2624. Possibly we should see a pullback towards 2599 in the time being. There is a very big imbalance candle here, which was created yesterday. However, there are definitely traders who are having gold positions below this level. So I'm expecting that we should see a pullback towards there. Of course, if we do not get a strong pullback, gold is going to make one attempt. It could make an attempt possibly around here before we see it reversing to at least come and trade towards this area here. Now, going over to GBP/USD, GBP/USD is also looking very strong still at the moment. We had a liquidity grab along that uptrend that it was having on the H4 time frame. As you can see, we've been having strong upside momentum on it. However, right now there seems to be a temporary pullback on it, and it's going to be aiming for that area of demand, which is around here where we had a grab on liquidity back to this level, and then of course we had strong movements to the upside. Now, the best area, of course, for you to have sold GBP/USD was up here, but you could still have a sell somewhere around here and set your stop loss just around this area here, so that in case we get a push back up, you're protected. But the ultimate goal would be to aim for you to sell it to its most recent demand base, which is somewhere around here, and would be aiming for it to touch this level before we get another rally. Now, crossing over to Euro USD, Euro USD again, the last time we met, we saw how it was having a bit of indecision at these levels here. However, we saw a very nice break out of this area here to move higher. And right after the break, we saw it actually created what I can say is somewhat of a double top. It's formed this around here. I'm still expecting us to see a break for Euro USD above that level towards 1.12. However, now that we are seeing some bit of weakness for the risk on, I'm not too certain how strong the move higher is going to be. But just in case we actually get it, we should see a potential break up that should definitely take Euro USD moving higher. But the moment there's a clear double top there on the H4, and it's definitely one that you could look into selling. Now, crossing over to gold, I think I'm through with gold. I can move to the Nasdaq. So Nasdaq, Nasdaq yesterday, yes, Nasdaq is currently in somewhat of a diverse box there with a lot of liquidity sweeps. Last time we met, we were looking towards buys on the Nasdaq, which of course, again, we got those nice buys. That was actually 2 weeks ago. So I'm sure most of you, again, if you're watching the snapshots, definitely you must have made money with the Nasdaq because it gave us a very nice move up there, very nice swing entry point from that zone, and it kept moving higher. Now, at the moment, Nasdaq is looking towards breaking towards 20K, but it's facing a lot of resistance along this area here. So ideally, how I would approach it is I would want to set my limit orders towards these areas outside of this box and possibly somewhere right above the box, so that in case we get a move where Nasdaq does a liquidity grab down to this area here. My ultimate goal is that I want to grab the Nasdaq around here for me to hold it up to 20,200 and even higher. So ideally, this is how I would approach trading the Nasdaq. Take note, however, we are quite bullish, and that is why the strategies that I would want to apply on a Nasdaq would be strategies that allow me to capture moves to the upside. Now, going over to the Dow Jones. Dow Jones, again, I think when we last met, we are looking for buys on it. At the moment, it's looking a bit indecisive, but you can clearly see the trend is up, and we are likely to see this trend continuing in some kind of form or shape towards higher levels like 44, possibly even as high as 45,000. So ideally, the the downtrend for these indices has to begin sometime before the US elections, and that is still, I would say, about 40 days from now. So in a time being, these indices are going to rally in a channel. So you can see ideally how the Dow Jones is moving. Uh, it's moving in a very, very clear uptrend with very clear sweeps. Okay, and ideally how you need to approach it is that you need to use limit orders towards those areas where the sweeps occur, so that uh, in case the market perhaps comes and retests those levels, you can be able to get in and hold it to the upside. But we are looking higher and higher on this pair. Now, USDCHF, I think last time we talked about USDCHF, I had indicated to you that it was stuck in some kind of an asymmetrical triangle, which of course it's still stuck in, and we are most likely to see a push lower for it, possibly towards those levels of 0.83600 and even lower. Now, again, for USDCHF, it could be buying a little bit today because of some bit of strength for the dollar. However, it's still vulnerable to further downside. Okay. So Nvidia again, I think I've just spoken about Nvidia. For Nvidia, it's actually been providing strong upside momentum. It's currently in an uptrend channel, and of course, this uptrend channel could see it possibly moving towards those areas of 130, 150. Now, again, just for you to take note, guys, is that you know that you can actually trade these stocks. Some of you are focused mostly on currencies. You forget that you can actually trade Nvidia. You can trade it, and the cost of trading on Nvidia is actually low. You just need a minimum of like $50 for you to open up even just one lot on it. Okay, so it's actually quite cheap, and you can buy Nvidia, hold it, because it's ultimately moving higher. I'm expecting it to possibly test these levels above, 133, possibly 140. All right. So I guess now it's time for questions. If you guys have any questions, I think now might be the time for me to go over them. Penina, good morning. You're asking about US oil. Okay. Okay, US oil is not here. Uh, let me just have a look at it from my trading view, because I guess that's why I have it. Just a moment. Okay, so did I get rid of it? It was right here. Okay, I think my US oil decided to move. I'm not seeing it. Okay, I need to get rid of something here. Maybe I can remove USD card. Okay, I had analysis on US oil. I just don't know where my US oil actually went to. Oh, I think is this it? Okay, it's most likely might be the very last analysis I had on it. Okay. All right. So this is US oil on the 4-hour time frame, and we are seeing ideally what's happening. So the most recent swing low we had for US oil was at that level of 65.64. Okay. So ideally, if I'm to add my fib, it would be looking something like this. Okay. Right here. So yeah, so right now US oil is in a steady uptrend. Okay, what I can say, the person that asked, that is Miss Penina, what I can say is that US oil is in a steady uptrend. Okay, and ideally how you need to be trading it is that you need to first put it in a regression channel for you to be able to determine where you can actually aim to buy or to sell. So you need to be looking to buy where we see it testing the bottom of that channel, but it's actually rising. It's in a steady rising channel at the moment, and we could see it possibly testing higher levels as we continue. Okay, so ultimately I think we're headed towards that level of 64, possibly 74, 75. And I believe also that maybe the geopolitical tensions we are getting in Middle East could also be contributing for us to see a higher value for this particular price. If you're, however, this is if you're swinging it. If you're day trading it, I think your approach needs to change. Perhaps maybe you need to be looking for entry points where you see a pullback towards maybe a session low, maybe like the London low. Like for instance, yesterday we can see this was the high that it created. It seems to have made a low now, but take note that if you go to the 4-hour time frame, we seem to be approaching, I would say, a bit of an invalidation zone for it to start selling. So take note that, because this is where the swing low began. Okay, the swing low began from here, so it has been rallying all the way from here up to where it's at now. So you need to position yourself. I don't know what kind of trades you're doing, whether they are day trades or swing trades, but if they are swing trades, then you should be looking to sell it from this zone towards perhaps maybe anywhere around here. And of course, if you're buying it, rather if you're day trading it, the bias is that it's a buy, so you need to look for buys from the session lows. Yeah, so I hope that helps. Next question. Marco Keller, you're saying would you elaborate how rate cuts affects the instruments, especially on gold? Yeah, so just like I said, US rate cuts especially ideally usually affect gold. Historically, you see that whenever the dollar gets vulnerably weaker due to lower interest rates, it then allows the metal to benefit by it having higher prices. Now, in terms of um, asset positioning, or in terms of value, people would see it more fit to put their money over to gold, simply because it tends to benefit during low interest rate environments. So due to more uh, positioning in gold, it then means that gold tends to get benefit in demand and gets higher prices. Okay, so that interconnection is lower interest rate environment allows uh, metals like gold to benefit, and we tend to see it moving higher during these environments. Yeah, especially when the dollar weakens. Whenever the dollar weakens, gold tends to benefit. Yeah, yeah. So that's the linkage between the two. All right. I guess that's it. Is Bitcoin available on FX Pesa? Yes, it is available. I think I maybe forgot to go through Bitcoin. We actually usually go through Bitcoin on the MT5. Maybe I just didn't go through it. Yeah, but Bitcoin again. This is the very nice analysis I did on Bitcoin. I was expecting it to sell up to this zone here, but it seems to have recovered. This recovery was due to the rate cut that we got from the Fed. Actually, soon after the Fed cut rates, Bitcoin rallied from 55K, and it's now sitting around that's about 64, 65K. So possibly we should see Bitcoin moving higher, but there's still more time. We haven't yet seen Bitcoin uh, going crazy yet. We haven't yet seen the strong momentum kicking in. So you need to be very patient with it. If you're a Bitcoin trader, you need to be very patient. It is going to test your patience. Yeah. Is EU bearish? Yes, it is. I think I alluded to that. NZUSD, AUD, USD, I think we discussed that during the virtual class on Monday. We said most of them are looking bullish since the Federal Reserve cut rates. And of course, we are going to see more weakness from them going into the going into the next few sessions. Yeah. So yeah, that's what I can say on them. Both of them, AUD USD and NZUSD. Particularly for AUD USD, the Reserve Bank of Australia held off on cutting rates. So that is going to allow us to see higher and higher levels for this particular currency, and we could see it testing even as high as 0.7 or 70 cents, US cents. All right. Guys, I think that's it on from me. We have virtual classes. We have virtual classes every day, Monday through Friday, on Zoom. The links to the classes, I believe, are in the description below. Uh, the classes happen at 11 a.m., and that's for the intermediate to expert traders. If you're a beginner trader, your classes happen on Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday, and that is at 8 p.m. You can be able to attend classes uh, for for beginners. All right, guys, I think that's it from me. I wish you guys all happy trading, and we'll talk soon. Cheers, guys.